This is Lauren Malhoit with Network Storage Inc. Today we're going to work on some Linux zoning, or really any zoning. As you can see from the screen, I am adding an alias for my HBA0. This is the fiber channel card on the back of your server generally. And right now I've done HBA0, and the alias essentially gives you an easier way to look at, to find things. It just changes, it gives it a new name. And then I just added HBA1 and created that alias for my other fiber channel card. And then I'm going to go on to actually zone it. So I create a new zone and I give it a descriptive name. So I'm going to zone HBA1 to SPA0 in this case. So I've created the name for that zone. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually add SPA0 from the array, from the storage array, and my HBA1, which I just created an alias for. And then we'll go through and create zones for essentially everything. So there we're doing SPB1, which is, port 1 on storage processor B on the back of the storage array. In this case, we're using an EMC CX4. It would be the same thing for an EMC VNX, etc., etc. So right there, I created my zone config then, or I didn't create it, I added those two zones that I just created into my current zone config, which was already there, and then I enabled the config, which is what you have to do in order to make the zoning actually work. So we'll just go through the process again. Here's creating an alias for HBA0. Now I'm going to putty into my Linux server here. And I'm doing enough disk to see what my disks look like. And here's my storage array. We'll click on hosts. And we'll go to host initiators. And I'm adding my Linux test server there with an IP address because Linux isn't going to automatically register. And I changed the initiator type to Clarion to match my CX4. And you can see then my Linux test server's in there. And I've got the two initiators because I've done the zoning already. We'll go to my host list. And I can see Linux test up there now. And then I'm going to create a storage group for the Linux test server. And this will allow me to show it LUNs so that it will actually see the storage. And I can say which LUNs I would like it to be able to see. Some might refer to it as LUN masking. So I expand SPA, SPB, and I add LUN 0. And I add my Linux test host. So for any LUNs that you want it to see, you just go ahead and add those LUNs to that storage group with the host. You can add several different LUNs to different storage groups. The only reason you wouldn't do that is if it were like a boot LUN or something, you would only want that boot LUN to be seen by one server. And I'm restarting my Linux host here. Now I'll SSH back into my Linux host. And do it fdisk -L. And as you can see, I now have the disks from, or the storage from the array in there as well.